the largely anonymous world of working as an assistant to a mangaka, what qualifies as authorship, for originality? What is the reader's expectation for the work made by the credited author versus the work done by an assistant? There is no universal standard to the way manga studios work, and in 1994, a Japanese tabloid published a lie that, in their words, Rumiko Takahashi had a kagemusha, literally a shadow warrior, a ghostwriter, that was responsible for drawing Ranma 1/2. This claim would lead to a lawsuit in an attempt to fight back against the story and set the record straight, that Takahashi is the sole artist and writer behind the series. The Rumored Truth, known in Japanese as Uwasa no Shinsho, was founded in 1979 as a magazine designed to speak truth to power, often publishing stories that more mainstream publications thought were too salacious or dubious. The magazine criticized politicians from across the ideological spectrum and reported on celebrity gossip, calling themselves a magazine without taboos. They became known for their frequent stories on Japanese music manager Johnny Kitagawa's sexual abuse of his young, male, up-and-coming musical idols, a topic that the mainstream Japanese press was hesitant to publish until after Kitagawa's death decades later. Each issue also included an illustration of a character or an actor involved in some type of sexual scandal as the frontispiece, which may help give a sense of the provocative nature of the publication. In the April 1994 issue of The Rumored Truth, the magazine published a wedding announcement for an unnamed assistant to Rumiko Takahashi. The few brief sentences appeared among a litany of blind items related to the manga industry. The statement read,
"In January, a beautiful assistant on a shonen manga magazine published by Shogakukan held her wedding ceremony, and rumor has it that she is Rumiko Takahashi's chief assistant, who did most of the drawing and writing for Ranma 1/2 and is said to be Rumiko's shadow warrior. She and mangaka Takashi Shiina, creator of the hit manga GS Mikami Gokuraku Daisukusen, have tied the knot. At any rate, it is a time of celebration for all."
Though the assistant was not named in the actual publication, the Rumored Truth admitted during the course of the lawsuit that the individual in question was Aya Shimizu, who was marrying mangaka Takashi Shiina. At the time, Shiina was publishing Ghost Sweeper Mikami in Shonen Sunday, and would go on to have hits with Zettai Karin Children and the manga adaptation of Yashahime, the spin-off of Takahashi's own Inuyasha. To be clear, no one at the magazine interviewed Takahashi, Shimizu, or anyone on Takahashi's staff, a fact that they attest to in the court briefs. To help set the stage, let's look at some of Aya Shimizu's artwork. These illustrations were made during Shimizu's first year of high school. She states that they were made in 1983, after the release of the first Urusei Yatsura film, Only You, and before Beautiful Dreamer was released in February 1984. While it is difficult to state precisely when Shimizu began her work as Takahashi's assistant, she did begin working with Takahashi before Urusei Yatsura ended in 1987. Though these drawings by Shimizu were not part of the legal discussion, they are included here to help fans understand the context of why such an accusation is one Takahashi would wish to vehemently refute through legal avenues. Shimizu, as Takahashi's longtime assistant, can draw very similarly. The original context in which these drawings were made and sold is difficult to discern. One Twitter user states they bought a copy of one of Shimizu's drawings at an Animate store in Fukuoka. I bought my copy at auction, and it is a loose illustration, not a page from a larger doujinshi or illustration collection. As stated above, Shimizu has said on Twitter that she made the drawings when she was in high school in the early 1980s. It is difficult to say if this is before or during her time as an assistant to Takahashi, which would have been sometime between the mid-1980s and mid-1990s. She is not mentioned in the credits of Inuyasha, meaning she departed before that series began in 1996. Shimizu may have left Takahashi's studio when she got married in 1994. Immediately following the Rumored Truth's allegation in 1994, Takahashi filed suit against the corporation, naming the publisher, Yasudori Okodome, and the writer of the article, Mikito Kawabata, also known as Kyoji Yamazaki, for slandering her reputation by suggesting that Shimizu, her chief assistant in the terms of the magazine, was responsible for most of the work on Ranma 1/2. In the legal brief, Takahashi's attorneys clarify that there is no such thing as a chief assistant in Takahashi's studio, and outline the work Takahashi does, which includes writing the story and drawing the main characters, sub-characters, crowds, and onomatopoeia, before directing her assistants on drawing the backgrounds and other crowd elements that had not already been drawn by Takahashi herself. Because of the nature of the article, which denies the plaintiff's sincere manga production activities, the article undermines the reader's trust in the plaintiff and seriously damages the plaintiff's reputation. The attorneys for the defense had little in the way to counter Takahashi's legal argument. They stated, "This article does not deny the fact that the plaintiff is doing the majority of the original work on the manga's production, such as deciding on the story and creating storyboards by herself. This is not joint work performed with an assistant." By arguing that they had never said she doesn't create the storyboards, the rumored truth believed they would be ameliorated of the other accusations, that Shimizu was Takahashi's chief assistant, and that Shimizu wrote and illustrated Ranma 1/2. After examining the presented evidence, Judge Takahiro Sumi made his ruling.
The plaintiff's manga production work is generally as follows. In other words, the plaintiff decides upon the story with the editor, creates a storyboard that includes the panel layout, dialogue, and a rough sketch, and based on that storyboard, the staff copies the frame layout and dialogue onto the manuscript paper. Next, the plaintiff drafted the main characters, sub-characters, crowds, and other people in onomatopoeia with a pencil, and after that creates a manuscript while inking with a pen. Then, she instructed the staff on how to depict the backgrounds and crowds, excluding the portions drawn by the plaintiff. Finally, the plaintiff checks the overall balance, and the staff members make corrections under the plaintiff's direction. The defendants admit that the person named as the chief assistant in this article refers to Aya Shimizu, and the plaintiff has never entrusted Shimizu with the drawing and penning of the main and sub-characters of Ranma 1/2 during her tenure at the plaintiff's production company, but has entrusted her with the drawing and penning of the crowd of some importance on a few occasions. Furthermore, neither the plaintiff nor any of the staff members were ever interviewed by the defendants regarding this case.
The final outcome saw the judge siding with Rumiko Takahashi, acknowledging that her reputation was damaged by the false allegations. Takahashi's attorneys asked for 10 million yen, and the judge ruled that the defendants would pay 300,000 yen. It is unclear if this is 300,000 yen each or a total of 300,000 yen split between each of the three defendants: the writer, the publisher, and the magazine corporation itself. Additionally, Takahashi's side had asked for a correction to be printed. The rumored truth countered that some clarification had been printed in a roundtable discussion where one of the writers balked at Takahashi taking legal action. The judge seemed to find this was satisfactory, and no further clarification of wrongdoing was needed on the part of the magazine. In the years since the 1994 Takahashi lawsuit, the rumored truth ultimately ceased publication. They had planned to close their doors in 2000, around the time editor-in-chief Okodome was injured in an attack on the magazine's offices by right-wing group Nihon Seininsha, the Japan Youth Society, who took offense at an article about Princess Masako when she was referred to without honorifics. However, pending lawsuits and legal obligations saw the magazine continue until 2004, when they settled their remaining legal challenges and went out of business. Aya Shimizu is still married to Takashi Shina, as of the writing of this article, in 2023. She serves as an assistant on his manga projects. Shina is currently publishing his adaptation of Yashahime, which is based on Rumiko Takahashi's Inuyasha. Rumiko Takahashi went on to create Inuyasha 2 years after the lawsuit. Following Inuyasha, she published Kyokai no Rine and Mao, and continues to publish her work weekly in Shonen Sunday, her home publication since her debut in 1978. If you'd like to read the complete legal brief, we have that translated on the website. You'll find that link in the description box.